India Charts publishes Nifty Daily, daily video updates, the weekly Elliott Wave Outlook, and the Long Shot Report covering all asset classes.
So I'm starting with the hourly chart of Nifty today, and what you're seeing is an attempt to complete a 5-wave advance in what should be a third wave for this entire move. You have an initial wave 1, 2, 3 and 4 completed, and after that, where does wave 5 really end? Now, wave 5 could have ended here, it could have been truncated, and then eventually it extended higher. I thought maybe you'll form a fourth wave triangle. Now, triangle didn't have A, B, C, D, E, and as prices have extended further today, the best I could come up with is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for 5 of 3. So if this is the case, then this is probably the last alternate we can really stick to look for a fourth wave correction. Otherwise, you'll have to actually think about whether the third wave is itself subdividing and extending into a larger rally. Now, even if it is doing that, given the high readings that we have on some indicators, say for example the RSI, especially when we look at indices like the Midcap 100, the Nifty Midcap 100 here has reached an RSI reading of 82, and the last time it had reached a very high level was 84, and this was at the end of August, and that's where you got this long consolidation. Now, I'm not saying something like that would happen, but whenever you get a high read, there's always room for bringing it back down a bit before the trend can continue. So typically you would expect the RSI to pull back and then maybe move higher. So the near-term risk to me in the market is that because you've achieved equality between waves 1, 2 and what we are seeing is 3 going on, and this is of course 1 is here. So if we simply take the size, and we take the size in percentile terms, not in arithmetic terms, so it's a logarithmic scale, then you come to 12,860. That was the target we were looking for wave 3, and that has been achieved in both the Bank Nifty and Nifty. The question then is wave 3 over, or is wave 3 further going to subdivide, and then do I really mark this as minor wave 1, wave 2, then expect 3, then expect 4, and then expect 5. And if I expect an extension, then it could be anything from beyond equality. It goes all the way to 161% of the first wave, which in a sense ends up pointing all the way to 13,700. The thing is, you're still very, very close to the initial levels. You can't really say for sure what's going to be the outcome. But short-term overbought readings do call for at least a knee-jerk reaction, if not a fourth wave correction, some kind of a second wave correction. Something I think would be nice, because like we just saw in the mid-cap chart, it's 14 days consecutive higher highs or higher closings for the broad index. Now, a lot of that was driven by news around a vaccine becoming real, and one of the most direct effects of that news was actually on gold. Now, that really surprised me, because gold prices have been more or less in a bull run since the start of mid of, I would say, 2018, or you can say since since 2019-20. And this entire bull phase, an actual bottom for gold, if you go back, is 2016. Now, did that bottom occur because of COVID? Did this entire rise occur because of... So really, those were not the reasons behind the advance. And so why should the news of a vaccine coming up really drive down prices of gold? So that was the first reaction it had when you had the Pfizer news. Now when you had the Moderna news, then I think the reaction was much more muted. And today now you have Pfizer really announcing that they have done third phase trials, and that may enthuse markets. But all I see when I look at a chart of gold is I see a consolidation phase. Essentially what happened is weekly momentum indicators crossed over to the sell side, as you see up here. And once that happened, then all you've got is a long consolidation phase in gold. And once that consolidation is over, I think the longer term upward trend should actually resume. So this may just end up being something that looks slightly like a triangular pattern, which makes sense because in terms of wave structure, this too would be a third wave forming out here, and after that a fourth wave consolidation. So you still have the fifth wave of this structure, especially from the low that we made in March pending to form on the upside, and that's why this is nothing more than a consolidation that we've seen, and prices should again start up, and the confirmation you should get for that is from the momentum indicators again picking up, starting a new cycle and giving a buy signal again. This is of course a weekly chart of gold. Now the lower end trend line, if I take of all this support line, sometimes in a triangle you do usually touch that, but not always. Sometimes you can have a truncated wave, but the lower end is 1825, and the low we made earlier in October was at around 1847-48, and we sort of touched that low point I think recently at 1849. So either it's a double bottom at 1849, or we'll make that last push towards 1825 is all I can say. But eventually you still have a fifth wave pending for this move before you can say that the post-March rally at least has completed one leg of what looks like an ongoing bull market for gold prices. Anyone who trades gold should know that one of the big drivers of gold prices is always the dollar index, apart from real interest rates. And when you look at gold prices, what they ended up doing is fall in 5 waves, which is an impulse wave, which means that the long-term trend of gold the dollar continues to be down, so it remains in a bear market, and once again it is beginning to decline. You can have some debate about the exact structure here till it actually starts making lower lows. If it does, then the ideal marking I would have here is marking this as 1 and 2 and in early stages of a third wave. The retracement may appear very, very small, but as we know in bull and bear markets, if you have a very strong bull market, many times you end up with very small retracements and a continuation of the move. So the small retracement is nothing more a confirmation of the strength of the move itself rather than anything else. This expectation that you should have deep retracements is based more on sentiment going from one end of the spectrum to the other. If you did have a second wave of COVID getting really worse and hurting the economy and not enough backing from the governments, possibly you could have had a second shock to the market or the economy in the form of a deep retracement in the dollar. But so far that's not been the case. I think central banks and governments have been pretty active on that front, and even after the elections that we have seen, we're still waiting for policy announcements, but of course that takes some time before you'll actually get a second round of stimulus announcements. What you have so far is that everyone knows it didn't matter that who really took center stage after the US elections, because both were really promising more reforms. So if you have such a big deep dive in the dollar, shouldn't you really be looking at currencies doing something very, very similar? Some currency pairs like the Canadian dollar have been very, very quick to show up in terms of the strength that they are showing relative to the dollar. So the dollar is falling and the Canadian dollar is actually getting stronger on this chart. We can also see that when we look at the Australian dollar, we can very, very clearly see that it's been, heading way down. The USD AUD, which means the USD is going down and the Australian dollar is getting stronger. And we also see that in some of the other places, but some places we have seen a divergence. Like if you look at Russia, initially it did strengthen against the dollar, but then it started to weaken again. So Russia had a very, very different trend. And similarly, if you look at Brazil, it did also something like that, where after the initial dip into June, July, you've actually seen the Brazilian real get weaker rather than stronger. So this was a little surprising, because there's also been a period where commodity prices have actually picked up, and you would usually not expect that. But others, like say Africa, have also followed the tune of getting much stronger against the dollar. So that brings us to our own, the USD INR. Now the USD INR too did show the same strengthening trend. This is the peak that it made in April. And then since then, the rupee has been strengthening and the dollar has been going down, but not as significantly as we saw in some of the other pairs. If I really, zoom out, then you actually see a trend that has not been great. In fact, more recently, the surprise is really more recently, even as equities have rallied, and typically you see a correlation between USD INR and equity being inverse. We have actually not seen the INR really strengthen as much as equities have been strengthening. Now it has hit this hurdle, which is if you just draw a trend line from the top that we made in April and then to the top that we made in June, that's exactly the trend line at which it's stopped right now in November, and it's been testing that again, trying to pull back. This seems like a lower high, and so it's tempting for me to actually mark this initial move down as a minor wave 1 and a minor wave 2, of another leg down that may be about to start. So as long as it maintains this lower high, lower low pattern with the upper trend line being at 74.85, that should be the breakdown level, which means you should not break out of it on the upside. That would change the structure. As long as we maintain that and we're heading down, we should be in one more leg down for this entire decline. We can also draw a trend line of the lows, and who knows whether we can actually go back to the previous swing low, which is somewhere where this triangular pattern occurred for the USD INR eventually. It's not something that will happen in a jiffy. It takes several months for these kind of moves to form in currency markets. But clearly, if the dollar trend down resumes, this is what we should expect the INR to do. The surprise is the short-term divergence that you see with Nifty. So if you look at this entire chart, you see many times close to turning points, and that's why I'll also get this question, because right now if you have a divergence, what does it mean? At turning point, sometimes the two actually diverge. So you see this, the USD INR continued to go up even as Nifty had started to rise in the early part of April. So there's a divergence, and usually the two are inversely correlated. So moment equity started to rise, you would expect USD INR to start going down, but they diverged for a while, and only then the two started their normal inverse relationship, where equities have been rising and the INR has been strengthening. So the USD INR has been going down, in other words. So that's the inverse relation. But here in this period where equities have actually had a strong rally in the month of November, you did initially see a little dip down, but after that it bounced back, and we are actually seeing not really seeing too much strength in the INR relative to the rally that we've seen, especially since daily flows of FIs, which were actually peanuts throughout this period, not more than 1,000 crores at times, sometimes negative, have actually been consistently between 2,000 to 4,000 crores in the last 2 weeks, ever since the US elections passed. And if you've got those kind of flows, then it may surprise as to why this divergence exists, and is it really telling you something about the market. However, if the USD INR does continue down as the chart is indicating and doesn't break out on the upside, then it would be a very, very strong signal to the market itself. So does that mean that the market's unlikely to pause? Because then the INR gets stronger, it starts signaling a much stronger rally in equities continuing from here itself. Unless again the two diverge, which is unusual, because these divergences need to end at some point of time, either with one or the other catching up with the other, and that appears to be completely overdue. In fact, from a intermarket divergence point of view, what you would look at is here when the Nifty actually made a higher high, surpassing the high that it had made in the month of August, USD INR actually did not make a new low. So the USD INR ended up making a higher bottom. So this itself was a divergence, which would have been a short-term warning that a correction was coming, and it did come. What we are looking at then after that is we have a rally, but we don't have a divergence in terms of while the Nifty is making higher highs, even though USD INR may not have fallen, it has not surpassed this high. That would have been a warning of sorts that the INR is weaker than the market right now. It's just not strong enough. That's about what we can say. It should have strengthened a lot more with the rally, but since it's not weakened, it's really not a divergence. So while growth fear overhangs are slowly getting diminished, even though you would feel that a lot of all the positive news may appear to get quickly discounted at today's levels, the markets seem to be trying to discount something far into the future, because what we are seeing in places, in many markets, and here we are looking at Brazil, is that we've got 5-wave advances followed by a good pullback in what can be a nice 3-wave pullback, and then resumed since November a rally back to new highs that will almost look like the start of a fresh move. In which case, the only thing pullbacks will only be retracements of the advance, but it may end up being a continuation of the trend eventually. On the upside is what it's beginning to look like on many charts, because all of them are breaking out into higher degree third waves. So the last thing I can say is that while it's nice to see prices move up every day, do not rule out that markets can correct even if the bigger trend is up. If we simply draw a parallel channel back, going back to the hourly chart that I discussed at the beginning, parallel channel of these two lows of the initial rally that we got in October is exactly where we ended today, right at the top end of that range. So we tried to pierce that few days ago, and we again touching that exactly at 12,950. And so yeah, that may be a point of recognizing whether we're going to see an extension or not, and so that may be a good level to really watch.